Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Defiant. His ship was the best Earth had ever built. It was big, fast, and strong. The Defiant had been flying through space for 3 months now. They were looking for new worlds and making sure Earth's borders were safe. Jake was a tall man with gray hair. He had been a space captain for 20 years. His crew trusted him. They knew he would keep them safe. Today felt different though. Something was wrong, but Jake could not tell what it was. "Captain," said Lieutenant Amy Collins from her station. She was the ship's tactical officer. Amy was young, but very good at her job. "I'm getting strange readings on the long-range sensors." Jake walked over to Amy's station. The screen showed dots and lines that meant different things. One dot was blinking red. That was not normal. "What is it, Amy?" Jake asked. "I don't know, sir. It's big, really big, and it's not moving." Jake looked at the screen more carefully. The red dot was much larger than their ship. It was just sitting there in empty space. No planets were near it. No stars either. Whatever it was, it had come from somewhere else. "Rick, come look at this," Jake called to his chief engineer. Commander Rick Torres walked over. He was a short man with dark hair. Rick knew everything about the ship's systems. If something was broken, Rick could fix it. If something was dangerous, Rick would know. Rick looked at the screen. His face went pale. "Captain, that thing is huge. 10 times bigger than us, maybe more." Jake felt his heart beat faster. In 20 years of space travel, he had never seen anything like this. Earth's ships were the biggest things flying through space, until now. "Lisa, try to talk to them," Jake said to his communications officer. Lisa Park was sitting at her station with headphones on. She could speak to other ships and planets. Her job was to make sure messages got through clearly. "Yes, sir," Lisa said. She pressed some buttons and spoke into her microphone. "Unknown vessel, this is the USS Defiant. Please respond." They waited. Nothing happened. Lisa tried again. "Unknown vessel, we are from Earth. We come in peace. Please respond." Still nothing. "Try all the languages we know," Jake said. Lisa spent the next 10 minutes trying different languages. She spoke in Spanish, Chinese, Russian, and 20 others. She even tried the old radio signals that Earth used long ago. Nothing worked. "Captain," said Danny Scott from the navigation station, "the object is scanning us." Danny was young, maybe 25 years old. He was very good at flying the ship through space. He could read the stars like a map. "What kind of scanning?" Jake asked. "Energy beams. They're pointed right at us. Very powerful." Jake felt cold. Someone was studying his ship and his crew. But who and why? "Dr. Reynolds, come to the bridge," Jake said into his communicator. Dr. Kate Reynolds was the ship's medical officer. She was smart and calm. Kate could help people when they were hurt or scared. Right now, Jake needed her to help him think. Kate arrived quickly. She was a woman in her 40s with blonde hair. "What's wrong, Captain?" "Look at this," Jake said, pointing to the screen. Kate looked at the red dot. Her eyes went wide. "Is that what I think it is?" "We think it's an alien ship," Jake said quietly. The word alien made everyone on the bridge stop talking. For hundreds of years, humans had wondered if other life existed in space. Now they might have their answer. "Are they friendly?" Kate asked. "We don't know," Jake said. "They won't talk to us, but they're scanning our ship." Amy looked up from her station. "Captain, the scans are getting stronger. They're trying to look inside our ship." Jake felt angry. No one had the right to look inside his ship without permission. These aliens, whoever they were being rude. "Can we block their scans?" Jake asked Rick. "I can try," Rick said. "But their technology is very advanced. More advanced than ours." Jake thought carefully. He had 3 choices. He could run away, he could attack, or he could wait and see what happened. Running away might be smart. But what if the aliens followed them back to Earth? That would be bad. Attacking might be stupid. The alien ship was much bigger than the Defiant. They might have better weapons too. Waiting was dangerous, but it might be the best choice. Lisa, keep trying to talk to them, Jake said. Rick, get our shields ready. Amy, watch their weapons. If they point guns at us, tell me right away. Yes, sir, all three said. Jake looked at the alien ship on the screen. It was dark and silent, but he could feel eyes watching him. Alien eyes. They were studying him and his crew like animals in a zoo. Captain, Danny said. The alien ship is moving closer. Jake's hands made fists. How much closer? They'll be next to us in 1 hour. Jake looked around the bridge. His crew was scared, but they were ready to fight if needed. These were good people, Earth's best. All hands. This is the captain, Jake said into the ship's communication system. We have made contact with an unknown vessel. It may be from another world. Stay calm. Do your jobs. We will get through this together. Jake turned off the communicator. He looked at the alien ship again. It was getting bigger on the screen. Whatever happens, Jake said to his crew, we represent Earth. We represent humanity. We will not show fear. The alien ship kept coming closer. Jake could only wait and hope that first contact would go well. But deep in his heart, he knew this was just the beginning of something much bigger. Fleet Commander Zach Steele looked at the small ship through his viewing screen. The human vessel was tiny compared to his mighty warship. It looked weak and simple. This would be easy. Zach Steele was tall and thin. His skin was gray like stone. His eyes were large and yellow. He had been conquering worlds for the Kathmori Empire for 50 years. He knew how to spot weak races. Science Officer Morden, what do you see? Zach Steele asked. Morden was younger than his commander. He was excited to find a new species. The ship is made of basic metals, sir. Their weapons are simple. Their shields are weak. Zach Steele smiled. His sharp teeth showed. Good. Another easy conquest for the Empire. The Kathmori Empire had taken over many worlds. They found planets with weak people and made them slaves. It was simple. Find them, study them, then attack. The weak always lost. Sir, said Chief Analyst Velanara from her station, I think we should look more carefully. Velanara was different from the other Kathmori. She was careful and smart. She did not like to rush into things. The other officers thought she was too slow. What do you mean? Zach Steele asked. He did not like when people questioned him. The energy readings are strange, Velanara said. Their power source is very compact. Too compact for a primitive race. Zach Steele waved his hand. You worry too much. Look at their ship. It's small and weak. But sir, enough, Zach Steele said. Continue scanning. I want to know everything about these humans. Velanara looked at her screens again. The numbers did not make sense. The human ship was producing more energy than it should. Their computer systems were also very complex. This was not normal for a weak race. Meanwhile, on the human ship, Captain Jake Morrison was making plans. Danny, I want you to plot a course, Jake said to his navigator. Where to, Captain? Danny asked. Nowhere. I want you to make a pattern, something that shows we're thinking, not just sitting here. Danny looked confused. I don't understand, sir. If someone is watching us, I want them to know we're smart. Plot a course that shows we're using our brains. Danny worked on his computer. He made a flight path that would take them in a square, then a triangle, then a circle. It was a pattern that could only be made by intelligent beings. Course plotted, Captain, Danny said. Good. Now we wait. Back on the alien ship, Velanara watched the human vessel start to move. It was making shapes in space. Perfect geometric shapes. Commander, she said, look at this. Zach Steele looked at the screen. The human ship was flying in patterns. First a square, then a triangle, then a circle. What are they doing? Morden asked. They're showing us they're intelligent, Velinara said. This is not random movement. This is planned. Zaxthiel was not impressed. Any race that can build ships is intelligent. This means nothing. But Velinara was worried. She looked at more data from their scans. The humans had built their ship very well. Every part was carefully made. There was no waste, no mistakes. Sir, I think these humans are more advanced than we thought, she said. Impossible, Zaxthiel said. Look at their ship. One ship, flying alone. If they were strong, they would have many ships. Maybe they don't need many ships, Velinara said quietly. Zaxthiel did not hear her. He was too busy giving orders. Increase scan power, he told Morden. I want to see inside their ship. I want to know how many crew they have. I want to know what weapons they carry. Yes, sir, Morden said. He made the scanners work harder. On the human ship, Rick Torres was watching his instruments. Captain, they're scanning us harder now, he said. They're trying to look through our hull. Jake felt angry. Can you stop them? I can try to block some of it, Rick said. But their scanners are very powerful. Do it, Jake said. Rick worked on his computer. He put up the ship's defensive screens. The alien scans got weaker, but they did not stop. They're still getting through, Rick said. Let them look, Jake said. But watch what they're doing. I want to know how their technology works. This was Jake's plan. While the aliens were studying humans, humans would study the aliens. It was a dangerous game, but Jake had no choice. Dr. Kate Reynolds was watching the crew. She could see they were scared, but they were also angry. No one liked being studied like animals. Captain, she said quietly. The crew is getting upset. They don't like being scanned. I know, Jake said. But we need to stay calm. We need to learn as much as we can. On the alien ship, Velinara was getting more worried. The human ships' defenses were working better than expected. Most primitive races could not block Kethmori scanners at all. Commander, she said, their shields are very efficient. Much better than they should be. So what? Zaxthiel said. We're still getting through. But, sir, they're also scanning us back. Zaxthiel stopped talking. He looked at Velinara. What did you say? They're scanning us, sir. Very quietly, very carefully. I almost missed it. Morden checked his instruments. She's right, Commander. They're using our own scan beams to look at us. Zaxthiel felt cold. Primitive races did not do this. They were too scared or too stupid. But these humans were turning the tables. How long have they been scanning us? He asked. Since we started scanning them, Velinara said. Maybe longer. Zaxthiel looked at the human ship on his screen. It was still flying in patterns, still showing that it was intelligent. But now, he was starting to understand. This was not just intelligence. This was cleverness. Sir Morden said. Should we stop scanning them? Zaxthiel thought hard. If he stopped now, he would look weak. But if he continued, the humans would learn more about his ship. No, he said. Keep scanning, but be more careful, and watch what they're doing. Velinara looked at her screens again. The human ship was small, but it was not weak. It was like a small knife instead of a big club. Sometimes a knife was more dangerous. Commander, she said, I think we should be very careful with these humans. Why? Zaxthiel asked. Because I think they're not what they seem. Zaxthiel looked at the human ship again. It was still flying, in patterns, still showing off its intelligence. But now he was not sure what to think. Maybe Velinara was right. Maybe these humans were more dangerous than they looked. The scan continued. Both ships were studying each other, but only one side was starting to realize they might be in trouble. The alien ship moved closer to the USS Defiant. Captain Jake Morrison watched it grow bigger on his screen. He could see weapons on the alien ship's hull. Big weapons. More weapons than his ship had. Amy, are their weapons powered up? Jake asked. His tactical officer, Lieutenant Amy Collins, checked her instruments. Yes, sir. Their weapon systems are active. They're ready to fire. Jake felt his heart beat faster. The aliens were not just studying them anymore. They were getting ready to fight. All hands, battle stations, Jake said, into the ship's communication system. This is not a drill. Red lights started flashing. The crew ran to their positions. Everyone knew what to do. They had practiced this many times. Rick, how are our shields? Jake asked. Commander Rick Torres was working fast at his station. Shields at maximum, Captain. But their weapons are very big. I don't know how long we can hold. Jake looked at the alien ship. It was huge and dark. He could see lights moving inside it. Thousands of aliens were probably watching his small ship. Captain, Amy said. They're trying to scan our computers now. They want to look at our files. This made Jake very angry. Looking at their ship was one thing, but trying to read their computers was too much. Can they get in? Jake asked. I don't think so, Rick said. Our computers are protected, but they're trying very hard. Jake made a decision. Rick, I want you to trace their scan back to their ship. If they want to look at our computers, let's look at theirs. Rick smiled. Yes, sir. I can do that. Rick worked on his computer. He followed the alien scan beam back to its source. It was like following a rope back to the person holding it. Got it? Rick said. I'm inside their network. What do you see? Jake asked. Everything, Rick said. His eyes were wide. Captain, their computer security is terrible. They never expected anyone to scan them back. Jake could not believe it. The aliens had better ships and better weapons, but their computers were not as good as Earth's computers. What can you find out? Jake asked. Give me a minute, Rick said. He worked faster than Jake had ever seen him work. On the alien ship, Velinara was watching her screens in horror. The human ship was inside their computer network. It was reading their files, looking at their maps, studying their technology. Commander, she shouted. The humans are in our systems. Fleet Commander Zaxtel ran to her station. What? How is that possible? They traced our scan back to us, Velinara said. They're reading everything. Our star charts, our fleet positions, our weapon designs. Zaxtel could not believe it. No primitive race had ever done this. The Kethmori Empire had the best computers in the galaxy. Or so they had thought. Cut the connection, Zaxtel ordered. I can't, Velinara said. They're too deep in our systems. If I cut the connection now, it might damage our computers. Science Officer Morden looked at his instruments. Sir, they're copying our files. All of them. Zaxtel felt sick. In minutes, the humans would know everything about the Kethmori Empire. Their strengths, their weaknesses, their plans. How is this possible? He asked. Their computer technology is much more advanced than ours, Velinara said. We thought they were primitive, but we were wrong. On the human ship, Rick was amazed by what he was seeing. Captain, you need to see this, he said. Jake looked at Rick's screen. It showed star maps with hundreds of worlds marked in red. What are the red marks? Jake asked. Conquered worlds, Rick said. The aliens have taken over all of these planets, made the people slaves. Jake felt sick. The aliens were not just explorers. They were conquerors. They traveled through space looking for weak worlds to attack. How many worlds? Jake asked. 47, Rick said. And they're looking for more. Dr. Kate Reynolds was looking at the star maps too. Captain, some of these worlds are close to Earth. If they conquer us, they might attack Earth next. Jake looked at the alien ship on his screen. Now he understood. The aliens were not here to make friends. They were here to see if humans were strong enough to fight back. What else can you find, Rick? Jake asked. I'm looking at their military files now, Rick said. Captain, they have hundreds of ships, all bigger than ours. Jake felt cold. Earth had only 12 ships like the Defiant. The aliens had hundreds of bigger ships. But Captain, Rick said, I think I found something important. What? Their ships are old. Very old. Their technology hasn't changed in a long time. They just build bigger and bigger ships, but the technology is the same. Jake started to understand. The aliens were like bullies. They used size and fear to win fights. But they were not as smart as they thought. What about their weapons? Amy asked. Big but simple, Rick said. They just make them more powerful, instead of making them smarter. Jake looked at his crew. They were scared, but they were also getting angry. These aliens had destroyed 47 worlds. They had made millions of people into slaves. Rick, can you access their communication system? Jake asked. Yes, sir. What do you want to do? Jake thought carefully. He could send a message to the aliens. He could tell them that humans were not weak, but that might start a war. Or he could do something else. Something that would show the aliens that humans were different from all the other races they had conquered. I want you to send a message, Jake said, but not to them. Who then? Rick asked. To every conquered world in their database. I want you to tell them that help is coming. Rick's eyes went wide. Captain, that would be the right thing to do, Jake said. These aliens have been bullying weak worlds for too long. It's time someone stood up to them. But sir, we're just one ship, Amy said. Sometimes one ship is enough, Jake said. Especially if it's the right ship with the right crew. Jake looked at the alien ship on his screen. It was still there, still scanning them. But now he knew what kind of creatures they were dealing with. Rick, send the message. Tell every conquered world that Earth stands with them. Tell them that humans do not abandon their friends. Yes, sir, Rick said. He started working on the message. On the alien ship, Velanara was watching the human ship with growing fear. The humans were not just defending themselves. They were turning the tables completely. Commander, she said, the humans are accessing our communication network now. What are they doing? Zaxtel asked. They're sending messages to the conquered worlds. They're telling them to fight back. Zaxtel felt his legs go weak. If the conquered worlds rebelled, the Empire would face wars on dozens of fronts. It could not win that many battles at once. Stop them? He ordered. I can't, Velanara said. They control our communication system now. Zaxthal looked at the small human ship on his screen. It was tiny compared to his mighty warship, but somehow, it was winning. Sir, Morden said quietly, I think we made a mistake. What kind of mistake? Zaxtel asked. We thought they were weak because they only had one ship. But maybe they only need one ship. Zaxtel began to understand. The humans were not like the other races. They were something new, something dangerous, and now they were angry. Chief Analyst Velanara watched her screens with growing horror. The human ship was doing things that should have been impossible. They had broken into every part of the Kethmori computer system. Commander, she said to Fleet Commander Zaxtel, the humans now have access to everything. Our fleet positions, our supply lines, our battle plans. Zaxtel could not believe what he was hearing. How much do they know? Everything, Velanara said. They know where every ship is. They know which worlds are weak. They know how we fight. Science Officer Morden looked up from his station. His face was pale. Sir, they're copying our star charts. They'll know every world in the Empire. Zaxtel felt panic rising in his chest. In 50 years of conquest, nothing like this had ever happened. The Kethmori Empire was always the hunter, never the hunted. Can we destroy their ship? Zaxtel asked. Yes, sir, Morden said. Our weapons are much more powerful than theirs. But sir, Velanara said quickly, if we destroy them now, they might have already sent all our information back to Earth. Zaxtel stopped. If Earth knew about the Kethmori Empire, they would be ready for war. And if human technology was this, advanced war with Earth might be very dangerous. Check our long-range sensors, Zack Steele ordered. Are there more human ships coming? Morden worked at his station. No, sir. Just this one ship. Then why aren't they afraid of us? Zack asked. Velanara looked at her data again. Commander, I think I know why. Tell me. Look at their ship's design. It's not built for conquest. It's built for defense. But it's also built to be very, very smart. Zaxtel looked at the human ship on his screen. It was still small compared to his warship. But now, he was starting to see it differently. What do you mean? He asked. They don't need big ships, because they don't conquer worlds, Velanara said. They build smart ships that can think fast and fight smart. One smart ship can beat many stupid ships. On the human ship, Intelligence Officer Greg Martinez was working with Dr. Kate Reynolds. They were studying all the information Rick Torres had copied from the alien computers. This is incredible, Greg said. The aliens have detailed files on 47 conquered worlds. Billions of people made into slaves. Dr. Reynolds looked at the data. Greg, look at this. The aliens always attack the same way. They find a world with primitive technology. They scare the people. Then they take over. They're bullies, Greg said. They pick on the weak. But they've never fought anyone who could fight back. Dr. Reynolds said, look at these battle reports. Every fight was easy for them. Captain Jake Morrison walked over to them. What have you found? Captain, these aliens have never faced real resistance, Greg said. They win by fear and big ships. But they don't know how to fight a real war. Jake nodded. What about their empire? How strong is it really? Dr. Reynolds showed him a star chart. It looks big, but it's actually very weak. They have to keep ships on every conquered world to keep the people from rebelling. Most of their fleet is scattered across the galaxy. So they're not as strong as they look, Jake said. No, sir, they're actually very weak. They just look strong because they only fight weak enemies. Jake looked at the alien ship on the main screen. It was still there, still watching them. But now he understood what they were really dealing with. Greg, what would happen if the conquered worlds rebelled at the same time? The Empire would collapse, Greg said. They don't have enough ships to fight wars on dozens of worlds at once. Jake smiled. Then that's what we're going to do. On the alien ship, panic was spreading through the crew. The humans had done more than just break into their computers. They had sent messages to every conquered world in the Empire. Sir, Velanara said to Zack Steele, we're getting reports from across the Empire. The conquered worlds are starting to rebel. All of them, Zaxtel asked. 17 so far. More every minute. Zaxtel felt his world falling apart. The Kethmori Empire had been built over hundreds of years. Now it was crumbling in hours. What? Did the humans tell them? He asked. Velanara read from her screen. They said, Earth stands with all free people. They gave them detailed information about our ships and weapons. They showed them how to fight back. They turned our own information against us, Morden said. Sir, Velanara said, there's more. The humans didn't just give them information. They gave them hope. Zaxthiel did not understand hope. They told the conquered worlds that they were not alone. That someone in the galaxy cared about them. That someone was strong enough to stand up to us. Zaxtal looked at the human ship again. It was still flying in patterns, still showing its intelligence. But now he realized it was showing something else too. It was showing that it was not afraid. Commander, Morden said. What should we do? Zaxtal thought hard. He could attack the human ship and destroy it. But that would not stop the rebellions. The message was already sent. The damage was done. He could try to flee and return to the Empire with more ships. But the Empire was busy fighting rebellions on dozens of worlds. There might not be ships to spare. Or he could try something that the Kethmori had never done, before he could try to talk. Open a communication channel, Zaxtel said, To the humans? Velinara asked. Yes, I want to talk to their captain. Velinara worked at her station. Channel open, sir. On the human ship, Communications Officer Lisa Park looked up from her station. Captain, we're getting a message from the alien ship. Jake looked surprised. After all this time, now they want to talk? Yes, sir. They're requesting to speak with you directly. Jake looked around the bridge. His crew was watching him. They had worked hard to get to this point. Now they would see if it was worth it. Put them on screen, Jake said. The main screen changed. Instead of showing the alien ship, it now showed the inside of the alien ship. Jake saw a tall, thin creature with gray skin and yellow eyes. I am Fleet Commander Zaxtal of the Kethmori Empire, the alien said. I want to speak with your captain. Jake stepped forward. I am Captain Jake Morrison of the USS Defiant. I represent Earth. Zaxtal looked at Jake carefully. The human was smaller than a Kethmori, but he did not look weak. He looked confident and strong. Captain Morrison, Zaxtal said, you have caused much trouble for my empire. Your empire caused trouble for 47 worlds, Jake replied. I just gave those worlds a chance to fight back. Zaxtal felt angry, but he also felt something else, something he had never felt before when facing another species. He felt respect. What do you want? Zaxtal asked. Jake smiled. I want to give you a choice. Captain Jake Morrison looked at the alien commander on his screen. Fleet Commander Zaxtal seemed worried and angry at the same time. Behind him, other aliens were working at their stations. They all looked scared. What choice? Zaxtal asked. Jake stood straight and spoke clearly. You can continue trying to conquer weak worlds and face the full power of Earth's military, or you can try a different way, a better way. Zaxtal's yellow eyes narrowed. What do you mean, a better way? I mean cooperation instead of conquest, Jake said. Trade instead of slavery, peace instead of war. The alien commander looked confused. Why would we do that? We are strong. We take what we want. Are you strong? Jake asked. Right now, dozens of worlds are rebelling against you. Your empire is falling apart. Is that strength? Zaxtal felt angry, but he knew Jake was right. The Kethmori Empire was in trouble. Maybe it had always been in trouble. We have hundreds of ships, Zaxtal said. More than you. Yes, Jake said. But your ships are scattered across the galaxy, fighting rebellions. How many ships do you have here, right now? Zaxtal did not answer. He only had one ship here. The humans also had one ship, but somehow, the humans had one. Captain Morrison, Zaxtal said, what are you offering? Jake looked at his crew. They were all watching him. Lieutenant Amy Collins, Commander Rick Torres, Dr. Kate Reynolds, Danny Scott, Lisa Park, and Greg Martinez. They trusted him to make the right choice. I'm offering you a chance to join the galaxy as a friend instead of an enemy, Jake said. Earth believes that all intelligent species can work together. We can share knowledge, trade goods, and explore space together. And if we refuse? Zaxtal asked. Jake's face became serious. Then you will face the consequences of your actions. The conquered worlds now have the information they need to defeat you. Earth will make sure they get the weapons and supplies they need. Zaxtal felt cold. You would arm our enemies. I would arm people fighting for their freedom, Jake said. Just like Earth fought for its freedom long ago. On the alien ship, Chief Analyst Velinara was listening to the conversation. She looked at her screens, showing the rebellions across the Empire. Commander, she said quietly to Zaxtal, maybe we should listen to them. Listen to primitives, Zaxtal asked. They're not primitives, Velinara said. They're more advanced than us in many ways. Their computers, their tactics, their thinking. Maybe we can learn from them. Science Officer Morden nodded. Sir, the humans defeated us without firing a single shot. They used our own weapons against us. That's not primitive. That's genius, Zaxtel looked at his officers. They were smart people. If they thought the humans were dangerous, maybe they were right. What would this cooperation look like? Zaxtel asked Jake. Jake smiled. First, you would free all the conquered worlds. Let them choose their own governments. Second, you would share your knowledge of space travel and star charts. Third, you would trade with other species instead of conquering them. And what would we get in return? Zaxtel asked. You would get Earth's friendship, Jake said, and Earth's protection. There are dangers in space that we can face together. There are mysteries we can solve together. There are new worlds we can explore together. Zaxtel thought about this. The Kethmori Empire was based on fear and strength. But what if there was a better way? What if they could be strong through friendship instead of conquest? How do we know Earth will keep its promises? Zaxtel asked. Jake looked at the alien commander with respect. Because keeping promises is what separates civilization from barbarism. Earth has learned this lesson. Now you can learn it too. On the human ship, Dr. Kate Reynolds was watching the conversation with amazement. Jake was not just defeating the aliens. He was teaching them. Captain, she said quietly, do you think they'll accept? I hope so, Jake said. But if they don't, we're ready for whatever comes next. Greg Martinez was still monitoring the alien computer systems. Captain, I'm seeing something interesting. The rebellions are spreading faster than expected. 23 worlds now. Good, Jake said. The more worlds that fight back, the weaker the Empire becomes. Zaxtel heard this through the communication channel. He realized that time was running out. Every minute he delayed, more worlds rebelled. Captain Morrison, Zaxtel said, if we agree to your terms, how do we know the rebellions will stop? Because Earth will help negotiate peace, Jake said. We'll make sure the freed worlds are safe. We'll help them rebuild. We'll show them that there's a better way than revenge. Zaxtel was surprised. You would help us even after what we did. We would help because of what you could become, Jake said. The galaxy is big enough for all of us, but only if we work together. Velanara looked at her commander. Sir, I think we should accept. Why? Zaxtel asked. Because the alternative is the end of our civilization, she said. The humans have given us a choice. We can change and survive, or we can continue as we are and die. Zaxtel looked at the human ship on his screen. It was still small compared to his warship, but size was not everything. The humans had proven that. What guarantee do we have that this will work? Zaxtel asked. The same guarantee Earth had when we first reached for the stars, Jake said. Hope, courage, and the belief that intelligent beings can choose to be better than they are. Zaxtel made his decision. I accept your terms, Captain Morrison, but I can only speak for this ship. The rest of the Empire will have to decide for themselves. Jake nodded. That's a start, and Captain Morrison is fine, but you can call me Jake. Jake, Zaxtel said, trying out the human name. I am Zaxtel. I think this is the beginning of something new. Yes, Jake said. Something better. The communication channel stayed open, as both ships began to plan for the future. The Kethmori Empire would not end overnight, but it would change, and Earth would help it change. On the human ship, Navigator Danny Scott was already plotting a course back to Earth. Captain, he said, should I set course for home? Jake looked at the alien ship on his screen. Zaxtel was already talking to his crew about the new alliance. Not yet, Danny, Jake said. We have work to do here first. We need to help stop the rebellions and start building peace. Yes, sir, Danny said. Jake looked around the bridge at his crew. They had done something amazing today. They had turned enemies into allies without firing a shot. They had shown that humans were not just good at war. They were good at peace. 2. Communications. Send a message to Earth Command, Jake said to Lisa Park. Yes, sir. What should it say? Jake thought for a moment. Tell them first contact has been established. Tell them we've made a new friend. And tell them the galaxy just became a much more interesting place." Lisa smiled as she sent the message. Outside the ship, space was full of stars. Somewhere among those stars, 47 worlds were fighting for their freedom. Soon, they would be free, and Earth would be there to help them build a better future. Jake looked at the alien ship one more time. It was no longer an enemy. It was a partner in the greatest adventure of all, building a peaceful galaxy, where all species could live together. The USS Defiant continued its patrol, but now it was not alone. It had an alien ship flying beside it. 2 different species, working together toward a common goal. It was a good start.